As someone who has spent most of my life in some sort of crisis, I have some feelings on this. And I want to defend the potential of the midlife crisis in all of its potential glory. Alright, let's talk for a minute about the midlife crisis. We're going to talk about why people get freaked out by the big 4-0 and in defense of the midlife crisis. If you're into mental health, midlife, or BTS, I'm your girl. I'm Ashley Sue. Feel free to check out the video and feel free to subscribe if you're into those things. People trip out about 40, and when I was young, 40 felt really freaking old. Man, as you get older and you hit certain ages, it is riddled with complex feelings. You know, when you were a kid, and I've never known anybody who actually had this for their 40th birthday, at least not in my peer group, but you know, when you were a kid, the whole black birthday thing with the over the hill stuff, and it always represented 40, was such a thing. So let's talk about first, midlife crisis. It has been a running joke probably since biblical times, and it has the stereotype of the 40 to 50 something balding overweight man who suddenly wants to recapture his youth. He buys a convertible, probably a red sports car convertible, and he's chasing young women, possibly as young as 30, probably more in her 20s, leaves his family to go be with that. That is the stereotype. I feel like in recent years, say the last 10 to 15 years, there's suddenly become a reputation with women having a midlife crisis. And the stereotype for her is Sharon Osbourne. Sharon, I dig you. I am so not cracking on you, honey. I think you're wonderful, but I hear men complaining about how women hit a certain age. It's always the woman of a certain age concept who decides she needs to feel sassy and young and prove that she still has it and she's got attitude and spunk. So she cuts off her hair and dyes it burgundy. Young people looking at people in their 30s, 40s, or 50s staying out dancing, going clubbing, dyeing their hair crazy colors, especially women. Young people think they're pathetic and desperate. I mean, think about the Real Housewives phenomenon. Granted, those women aren't dyeing their hair funky colors, but they're drinking and they're out, you know, what's the word, cahooting? I don't know. I'm trying to think what my grandma would say, but much older people and younger people, 20s and teens, find 30 and 40 somethings and 50 somethings acting that way, desperate, pathetic, childish, you know, grow up kind of thing. But now we also live in a society where young people are having their own identity crisis, and you know, they're in their 20s and early 30s and they're having their own crisis of, am I happy in my job? What should I be doing with my life? How do I get there? Do I want a family? How do I get there? I mean, the pressure is mounted. And older people, particularly probably those, I think people my age group can relate to that. I even think people a little older than I think Gen X can relate to that quarter life crisis phenomenon, because they, I think, were the first generation to really face it, as were boomers and above. Feel like young people are very self-indulgent to think they even understand what pressure and stress is. They feel like young people have more opportunity now than they've ever had, and they're not saddling themselves down with families. So what do you young people know about stress and pressure anyhow? Which is definitely short-sighted, because young people, that alone is a stress. You have so many opportunities. You don't have to work for someone just to feed your family. So you're expected to make a contribution, kind of unprecedented in history, with your talents and your skills, and you're largely considered a failure if you don't. That's a whole other bucket of gravy. As someone who has spent most of my life in some sort of crisis, I have some feelings on this, and I want to defend the potential of the midlife crisis in all of its potential glory. 40. I'm 41 now. Doesn't matter. 40. You can say 35. You can say 50. 40. A lot of the time you still feel 17 inside. We don't want to admit it. We don't feel the way we thought grown up would feel. I think for some of us there's a guilt We feel that we should feel much more grown up and much more put together than we do, especially those of us who never got careers off the ground and don't feel like we are particularly talented in this world while we're surrounded with people who are wildly ambitious and talented. I think that's a struggle of guilt we have. Sometimes we feel 60. Our bodies, we realize they don't feel the way they did when we were younger. And we realize very suddenly that the people who are famous now and on television are younger than us. I always thought they were older than me. And then one day I was like, wow, everybody who's talented and doing amazing things, that type of industry and genre, are nearly half my age. When did this happen? When did I get old? So that makes me feel 60, as well as feeling your body kind of falling apart. And then to our kids, and I don't even just mean my toddlers, to teenagers, we probably seem 100. Sometimes I refer to this as the 40 paradox, where we feel young and we feel ancient, and we are viewed as young. I get told all the time, oh, you're still young, you have so much opportunity. And we also are treated as if we're ancient by young people who really do have the whole span of their life ahead of them and the world is their oyster. That is such a gross phrase. Now, as a woman in her 40s, society still treats us in a really weird light. We are supposed to be respectable women who wear matte eyeshadows and the no makeup look. Mattes, neutrals, browns, tans. Your hobbies should be reading and volunteering and probably playing tennis. We're expected to sit back and enjoy compliments like, you look really good for your age, which is not a compliment. Not in the slightest. If you've ever said that to anybody, apologize to them and never say it to anybody again. You look good. That's it. That's it. That's all you gotta say. We are expected to be above insecurities. We're expected to be calm and peaceful and wise. We are expected to serve our children, serve our parents, serve our grandchildren in some cases, and to do so with joy and a servant's heart. We are expected to be very happy with the life that we've built so far. We are expected not to rock boats because we're supposed to have all those other things figured out so far. In other words, we are expected to have one job: keep other people comfortable. We are expected to be comfortably invisible. Let's get real though. Getting older does not mean your curiosity is over, because believe it or not, you're not an encyclopedia. You haven't learned everything, much less experienced everything. Your sense of adventure is still very much alive. Your wanting to be playful is still very much alive. Feeling like you have passion and needs and interests that still haven't been met or discovered, that is still very much alive, no matter how old you get, I hope. So here's the point where, of course, I'm going to turn to BTS. We all knew this was gonna happen, right? Maybe the reason we didn't pursue things in our teens, 20s, even 30s, be part of why we're having a midlife crisis in our 40s or older, is because we did not have the ambition, the drive, the make it happen-ness in us to pursue our goals. Perhaps our insecurities is. Perhaps our families and the people we surrounded ourselves with were so far from encouraging that we didn't believe in ourselves either. Which is why it's so important to choose the people who you spend your time with. Maybe you feel like you give up on yourself to pursue and please a man, or kids that you had either willingly or by chance. Maybe you just feel saddled down. Maybe you had to caretake for family members and didn't have the opportunity to be wild and free. Regardless of your reasons for giving up on yourself, it sucks. It feels awful, and it never stops feeling awful. It never stops feeling bad knowing that you could have done more, that you could have tried more. Not even that you would have succeeded and become some sort of great athlete or great actress or great entrepreneur or amazing scientist, but the fact you would have experienced more of it, that you would have tried more of it. And that alone is a type of gratification that as you get older, you realize you missed out on, unless you're one of those cool people who did those things. And I mentioned BTS because Epiphany, I did a whole video on Epiphany and On, which are to me two videos with very different vibes, two songs with very different vibes that come together and speak to my heart. And Epiphany is all about when you give up on yourself, that you didn't put love into yourself, but you tried to put it somewhere else. And now you know you need to invest love into yourself. You have to. You have to, because you are at a point of misery. And when you feel that way about things, it feels like your life is over. You feel too old for anything to change. You can't even see your way out from a situation you're in to think of how to change it. But besides that, who are these people who think there is a timer set on when you can and cannot soul search? Like, oh, I hit a certain birthday, I'm supposed to know exactly who I am now, and I can't soul search at all without being considered desperate and pathetic. And I might be desperate and pathetic, but I don't care. I know I'm not alone in feeling that way. There are so many plot lines about that, and people who pursue PhDs at 70. Are these the same people who think that women who have body hair are unhygienic? Because let me just tell you, sister, those are not the same things unless you think men are chronically unhygienic. Are these the same people who think that graying women need hair dye? Because those people can suck it. You can sit at home and worry about my hair dye, or my hair being gray, or my body hair, or whatever. You can spend your time being upset at whatever you want. I'm too busy trying to find a life. That's what I'm trying to do. And that's sort of what BTS On captures for me, is this essence of I'm gonna fight and you do what you're gonna do, but we're gonna fight about it, as in I'm throwing punches through this, and I'm gonna find my inner fighter. So back to the midlife crisis. It's an opportunity to be midlife and to feel a certain level of discontent or frustration or even flat out misery in what's going on in your life and who you are at the time. It's an opportunity to squeeze little pockets of time in to try to get right with yourself, because no matter who else is in your life, they may go. No matter how picture perfect you think your life is, no matter how together your life feels, those people might go. I am tethered to me. That's it. You are tethered to you. I've got me and God to reckon with at the end of every single day. And I have to believe, gosh, I have to believe that there is more purpose in my life than to experience the feelings that I feel a lot of days right now. There has to be. The only way I'm gonna find it is through self-discovery. Enter my midlife crisis. It's an opportunity to check yourself out and try new things. Why wouldn't I? If I want a new hair color, why not try it? If I want a tattoo, why not get it? Am I too old for these things? I don't care. Learn a new language. Go get your master's. Try some different music. I'm not doing the master's thing, but I am doing the other things. And at times, knowing that I'm actually doing those things with the little pockets of time that I have, that brings me great peace. Doing this channel again, even though I've got no clue where this is gonna go. I've got no clue how it's gonna be received. I don't know if I'm helping anybody. I don't know if I am just rambling into the cosmic atmosphere by myself for the rest of eternity. This brings me peace. I am doing something on a different level in my life than I have for a while. One foot in front of the other, one step at a time, how to make some sort of impact and contribution to myself and to this world that comes from my heart. Cornball. So to be midlife, to be in a midlife crisis, to dye your hair, to have desires and passions and new interests, and to have part of our wild, rebellious nature from our teen years still alive inside of us that we're willing to confront and spread our wings on and fly, that makes other people uncomfortable. But youth does not die. At least it shouldn't. It really shouldn't die, right? That's a part of us. Anyhow, discovering ourselves and putting stock in who we are, it might be the first time we've ever done that. Because like I said, there's a myriad of reasons why maybe you didn't do that in your teens, 20s, or 30s. I know I dated a real goober once upon a time when I was becoming an adult, and I put a lot of stock in him. And I turned down some very interesting opportunities at a very young age in order to keep him comfortable. And that was a mistake. But then I did it again. And this time for a really good guy, so I thought it was completely worth it. But I still turned down a lot of interesting opportunities, even though they weren't exactly expectations he placed on me. It's so weird to explain. It's just weird. And then largely just my insecurities. Worthy imposter syndrome is a real bitch. It's a real thing, and it's a real bitch for a lot of people. Between that, feeling like I'm not good enough, feeling like I'm not talented enough, feeling like I'm gonna fail anyhow, we are terrified of failure as people, and man, that can really hold a lot of us back from a lot of things. Fear of losing someone. If you're in a relationship and you want to throw a bunch of stuff at the wall to see what makes you happy in life, you risk losing them. And if you have a family member constantly in your ear telling you you're going to lose this person, don't do things to lose them. If you do that, it's going to make them very uncomfortable and they're going to leave you. And even tonight, I was talking to a family member about having a conversation with my neighbor, a male. I was taking my trash out. He was smoking a cigarette. We stood in our respective driveways. Me and mine, him and his. We talked. We had like a conversation for 30 minutes. As somebody who is stuck at home all day with no one to talk with but 2 toddlers, that was an amazing experience. I got to talk to an adult about things that didn't have to do with potties. It was incredible. My family member was like, how did your husband take that? Was he comfortable with you talking with another man? A lot of husbands would not be okay with that. Holy crap. If I were married to a husband who couldn't handle me talking to our next door neighbor from across the yard from each other, I would leave that husband. I would have already left that husband. That's insane. Yeah, if you don't fight back against your insecurities, you aren't going to overcome them. For those of us who listened to others who told us we couldn't do something, all we did was reinforce that we couldn't do it. When people say you're too old to learn a language, and they do. Like, this isn't about age. They simply say after a certain age you can't really learn a language. Why not? If you're a woman of a certain age and Wayne Goss tells you you can't wear shimmer eyeshadows, prove to him you can. I'm ranting. I'm not trying to rant all the time. I don't want this to be a rant channel. I'm just clearly in a little bit of a lost place, and I know a lot of people feel like that's a bad idea to share. You're sharing dirty laundry, that nobody wants to watch a negative YouTube channel, and fine, if you don't relate to this, you've already clicked out, so I'm not worried. What I do want this to be is an honest place. And things aren't always pretty. And my original direction for my channel was 100% sparkles and positivity. However, some of the videos I posted were very clearly not sparkles and positivity. I tried to end them on a note that was, but my original focus of this channel was something along the lines of, I hope you find so many sparkles in your life that there's only room for the light. But that is some toxic positivity BS. But I have to confront a lot of things if I ever want to comfortably breathe again. And I need to be comfortable with that being who I am and what I want to do, and the evolution of what that becomes. You know, what is learning a new language at 41 going to do for my life and my future? What is listening to, dissecting, absorbing BTS at the age of 41 going to do for my life and my future? What is reading books like Demian going to do for me moving forward in my life? I mean, Yeah, okay. I'm not reading because I'm trying to pass time. I'm not reading books and learning a language so I can brag about it or show off how intelligent I am. Those ships have passed. And maybe that's kind of what part of a midlife crisis is the realization that the ships have left the port. If I get to live 41 more years, I do not want to spend them passing time. I want to feel alive. I want to feel like I rock, not because somebody else validates that. My midlife crisis is an attempt to find myself for maybe the first time and to not be afraid of losing anything other than losing my life. That is my primary thing that I'm afraid of losing. So I have to be potentially willing to lose everything else to stop that. Hi, I'm Ashley Sue, and this is Girl Meets Fire. Remember, you never walk alone. Anybody who knows me, like if you personally know me, if you're related to me, either through blood or through marriage, and you're watching this video, try not to be freaked out. Listen, don't be freaked out. My family members, this is why I'm off Facebook. Because you can't write anything without people freaking their shit about it. And even if you tell people, hey, I'm going through some stuff, I'm turning off Facebook. If you have any questions, here's my phone number. You can text me or call me anytime. We can meet for coffee and talk about it. Not a single person in my immediate life reached out to me. And I don't care. That's fine. My problem was they reached out to my husband and to my sister to ask them if I was okay. What the ever living hell. So if you're a family member and you happen to be watching this video, get over yourself. If you have questions, contact me. Don't contact each other. This is why I don't talk to a lot of people anymore. But for the rest of you out there who aren't of familial relations, does that mean sex? Familial relations? Anyway, family manner. If you're not in a family manner with me, I believe some of you also feel this way, especially if you're still in this video. Why else? If you don't feel this way why would you still be tuned in? Unless you're a family member judging the hell out of the situation, having things to say.